Formula One's schedule is unrelenting, with a race and test virtually every week, meaning quick turnarounds and slick teamwork are essential. After the engines are rebuilt, they're checked on the dyno in the Bracknell facility before being sent back to the teams for installation in the cars. Such is the level of energy produced in the test cell, it sits on top of 120 tonnes of concrete, and its walls are 2 feet thick. Few sights and sounds are more impressive than a Formula One engine on full song. Producing in excess of 800 horsepower, roughly 8 times the power of an average family car, the engine revs to over 18,000 RPM. That means the piston in each cylinder is moving up and down 300 times a second. The exhaust pipes glow red hot as they reach a temperature of around 800 degrees Celsius. The shots of blue flame are the normal signs of what is known as afterburn, as excess fuel is burnt off in the exhaust system. This is the picture you can't see of a Formula One engine as it screams around the circuit, and it's all going on a matter of inches behind the driver's head. Once the engines have been checked on the dyno, they're sent out to the teams to be fitted to the cars. Each team has its specialist engine kitters who prepare the unit for its marriage to the chassis. And they strip the radiators, pumps and exhausts after it's been used.
This engine I'm working on now is Jarno Trulli's engine, which did the race. So we'll de-kit it, take all our stuff off of it. As you can see, it's more than just a V10. There's a lot of Jordan stuff that goes on it that we fit. So we've got to take all that off, box it up and send it back to HRD. Normally I'll do it in the morning or an afternoon. Trucks normally get back on a Tuesday lunchtime, and then by Tuesday evening we'll have them boxed up. I'm on the way back to Honda. But sometimes we have a T-car engine to do as well, which is obviously makes 3, which makes it a bit tight, but you can just about do it.
A few miles down the road at British American Racing, a mirror image of the activities at Jordan is taking place.
We have a lot of servicing of radiators to do. It's obviously during the sort of 2 hours or so that they race around. If they're stuck in traffic or behind other cars, there's a hell of a lot of rubber shredded off from the cars in front. Just usual, generally like that after every race. But we will pressure wash all these and clean that up. That'll be okay. You know, they've got a 4,000 kilometre life expectancy on them, so obviously if we don't get enough air into the radiators, it becomes hot very quickly, and we don't have a viscous fan like you would do on a road car, so we can't sort of just add extra cooling to it. It basically relies on the car moving, and if it stands still for too long, it could be a big problem for us.
There are separate teams of Honda personnel assigned to BAR and Jordan, and the Japanese engineers integrate themselves into the teams. Naturally, in the blending process, some of the culture rubs off.
Their culture is actually very good, and it's helped us. They're very disciplined people, very methodical people, and they just stage by stage. They have their long-term plan and they're just working away at it. And I think that's helped Jordan immensely, and I think hopefully in the long term we'll see the results of that.
We've learned quite a lot from Honda in terms of approach. Their approach is a little different from ours. I think there's probably been a bit of cross-fertilisation both ways, but by having people around who look at things differently, you'd learn more and progress more quickly. A lot of us here have worked with Japanese people for more than 10 years, Champ Car projects and various things, and some of the guys here, actually on the Honda project, I've worked with on Champ Car since the mid-90s, know them very well, and they know racing very well. Racing is in Honda's blood, and they know what it takes, and we just get on with it, really. Communication's good.
One person who does speak at least a little Japanese is Jordan driver Jarno Trulli, who spent some of his karting career in Japan. In the pits, however, English is the main language, although the teams make every effort to increase their Japanese colleagues' vocabularies.
We do, yeah. Not necessarily good words, but they find it quite amusing. They all speak pretty good English, actually. It's strange because within Jordan we've got quite a few nationalities, so we're a sort of multi-national team, really, with English, Irish and Japanese. So Their food is a little bit different to ours, so I don't think any of the lads have ever got their heads around the Japanese cuisine yet.
The pace of the Formula One season is fast and unrelenting. The teams test every single week during the season, and Honda is with them at the racetrack, chasing one thing: performance.
People within F1 are very competitive sort of people, naturally, to be there. But when one team has everything the same as you, then it's easier for the outside world to compare us. So there is that little bit more rivalry there, and certainly try to beat the AR as much as possible.
Obviously, I suppose, Jordan, you mentioned we need to pay particular attention to, because they're a benchmark. They have the same engine, the same tyres, in terms of evaluating where our performance, if someone else has got the same engine, well, that's a useful comparator. So I suppose we probably do pay a bit more attention to Jordan than other people, but we still need to compare our performance to Ferrari and McLaren and people who are winning races. And you can do that in various ways, not just, obviously you don't need other cars' data, but there's a lot of FIA timing information, there's television video that you can decipher and get a good read on your relative performance from all sorts of sources.
As you'd expect, the rival team owners keep a close eye on each other.
I think Jordan's a very professional team. I think Eddie's done a brilliant job in building up his team.
I respect Craig Pollock, what he does. He has a different set of circumstances and problems to which I have. But they have emerged over the last couple of years as a serious contender. They can fight very hard. Is there animosity? I don't believe so. I think we've got over the situation of poaching each other's staff and things like that, which inevitably happens. BAR are one of our enemies, but there are 9 others, and from that perspective, I think it would be foolhardy for us to be just looking at what BAR are doing, and I'm sure likewise for them.
We are very open with Honda.
We've got a completely open engineering information framework, I suppose, with Honda.
We don't know what other people are doing.
We don't obviously have any data from Honda about what other people are doing.
If we have a problem, I'm sure the other team have given the information how to solve the problem, and vice versa.
We tell them everything we're doing, they have all our data, they have all our information, which is part of our close relationship, and that works really well.
With the demands of racing and testing, supplying 2 teams means supplying a lot of engines.
We change the engine every day. We have 3 cars at the race. Only 2 cars can be used on a Friday, so Friday evening we would change 2 engines. So for the first day we have 3 engines in the cars. Second day is 2 fresh engines in the race cars, so that puts it to 5. And then for the final day is fresh engines again. So during the weekend we will actually use a minimum of 8 engines. Honda have 2 or 3 spare engines for each day available as well. The same cycle happens with the testing. I mean, an engine normally is in a test just for 1 day.
Test team and race team do similar things. Obviously a week out of sync, you race one weekend and test the week following. You can't test the week before a race meeting, so that's almost forced upon us, that schedule, that turnaround. But apart from that, we run older parts on the test cars to prove them. We put the new parts on the race cars, so the race cars are a bit fresher generally. And the test cars do more miles. We only run for about 2 hours a day at a race meeting, whereas on a test you can run for 6 hours a day.
I'm sure from the outside world it is self-indulgence, yes. But it's all about performance, and to maximise that performance we're there to try to win races, and everything has to go to the limit.
Formula One may be a cutthroat business, but as far as Big Sven's concerned, the engines are like old friends.
I'm not quite sure what the life of this one is, but sometimes ex-race engines will do another race's Friday practice session. It may be a couple of races away before we see this one again, unless they've got some sort of development work to do on it. You sort of sit here, and although you work on the engines all day long, we don't actually get involved in what's inside that engine, so you sort of see the numbers and you see them come round again. You see, like, number 1 we had in Melbourne, and it's cropped up again a couple of times. You think, oh, hello, seen that again. And there might be a subtle change on the outside that we can see, but it might be a big change on the inside. We're not sure yet, because obviously it's a sealed unit that Honda deal with. But they do come round again. They do get used again. I think the life of them is about 400 kilometres, so they'll do just over 300 in a race. And that'll be probably, I should think this one will be stripped again more likely because it did do the full distance at Magny-Cours, and rebuild it again, check it over, or even throw it away. Who knows?
They are expensive items, and so it does show just how expensive F1 is and how much commitment a supplier like Honda has to make.